Alright, so the last time you would have seen us would have been yesterday when we were down south looking for thorny devils. Today we've come up to the Moon Plain in central South Australia to look for our next target, which is the Inland Taipan. Where we are on the Moon Plain is one of the most desolate, remote parts of Australia. There's absolutely nothing out here, but somehow this one snake thrives out here, and it's one of the only places that you can find them in Australia. They're not easy to find, so we're gonna have a couple of days looking. Currently 38 degrees now. It'll be dark in like 2 hours, so it's probably gonna be too hot for taipans this afternoon. But yeah, we're gonna get up really early tomorrow before light. When it's really hot, the taipans move late at night and early in the morning before temperatures are too high. We will still give it a crack this afternoon and see if we can find anything cool. And we'll give it a little spot on dusk, but yeah, hopefully we're counting on tomorrow morning producing the goods. First central bearded dragon since we've started looking for taipans. Venomous. This is a massive male, and you can tell he's getting pissed off because he's got that jet black beard. It's currently still 40 degrees at 7 p.m, so I'd be surprised if we get a taipan this afternoon. Yeah, it's cool to see this big bearded dragon though, right on the edge of town. An iconic Australian lizard, and probably one of the most commonly kept reptiles in the whole world. But yeah, out here in central Australia, they're very common. There's not much out here, and the bearded dragons are absolutely thriving. How good. Right there's two earless dragons out. It's almost dark. These earless dragons are everywhere out here. We just stopped for 3 all in the same spot on the road. We've got this guy here on this little stone, sort of trying to camouflage himself. They're also called pebble mimicking dragons. They're everywhere all over the roads. The gravid females come out and bask to warm up those eggs, and they often sleep on the road as well. But typically they sort of shelter down these loose soil cracks out on the gibberel, like holes that go under small little pebbles and stones. And once the weather starts to warm up, they actually stand up on their back legs. All right, we're on to the next iconic lizard from the Moon Plains, the gibber dragon, Ctenophorus gibber. These are closely related to central netted dragons and stuff, but being on the Moon Plain, like all the other reptiles, they shelter in holes in the ground and little holes that go in underneath the rocks. This isn't as big as they can get bigger than that. But yeah, they're commonly seen sitting on the roads and sitting up on these isolated little large rocks on the side. We just had a car go through that cleaned up probably like 15 earless dragons and a few of these guys. But this is the first up close look at a live one, which is exciting. Beautiful little dragon, quite chunky. Yeah, good to see. I'm sure that the taipans would absolutely smash these lizards as well, but he's sitting quite well at the moment. We're going to leave him be now that he's off the road. I'm pretty sure these are gibber earless dragons, Tympanocryptus intima. You do get the Tympanocryptus tetraporophora here as well, so I'm going to have to check my field guide and confirm. But yeah, beautiful little earless dragon, and you can see their camouflage is incredible. Like, if I didn't know that lizard was there, I would not see it. They blend in so well. Despite the name, earless dragons actually do have ears. They're just covered by scales, and they are one of the coolest little lizards that you can see. They're just so weird and unique, stocky little nuggets. And I'm surprised that this guy's sitting still. We aren't gonna hassle him too much because we're gonna go keep looking for this taipan. But the lizards are out. That's a good sign. I'd be out if I was a taipan because I'd probably be trying to eat one of these. All right, first arvo, cruising for taipans. Funnily enough, we just lost a taipan, so they're out. We know they're out. We've just got to try and produce one. There's a chance we could see one after dark. We're probably going to go to bed early tonight so that we can get up before dark tomorrow and get out here and try and get one early morning. All right, so we decided to head out on foot for a little bit just to see what we could see out here tonight in the heat. And there is the first snake in Cooperpedy. Young little curl snake, Suda, the most common elapid out here on the Moon Plain, and probably one of the most common elapids throughout a lot of arid Australia. It's cool for Amber because it's her first one, and she never has to look at one again. But yeah, there's not really that much going for them. They've got a cool black head, and yeah, but other than that, they're common as hell. They're cold tolerant. You just see them out all the time, everywhere. Yeah, they feed predominantly on lizards. They have got a venom that could make you pretty... It won't kill you, but it could make you a little bit ill. But yeah, cool. Not a taipan. Nowhere near a taipan. We decided that we're gonna head to bed pretty early tonight because we want to get up before there's any light tomorrow to start looking for taipans. It's still mid-30s outside. We're gonna head to bed and we'll see you in the morning, bright and early. It's the following morning, 5:30. We're up, not messing around this morning, nice and early, and we're heading out on foot to start because we're going to head to that first spot that we lost that taipan yesterday afternoon to see if we can turn up another one. And yeah, it's still 27 degrees. You know you're up early when the geckos are still out. Little binos gecko. We've been seeing a few geckos scattering across the road because it's been so warm overnight. Now's the coldest point of the night and still being 26 degrees. It's like a lot of things are just going to be moving later. So yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw a curl snake or something as well. Walking around on foot again, and look at this. This is a shed skin of an inland taipan. You can see the eye there, the head. That's pretty cool. Not the biggest taipan. You can also see those scales. Sick. It's not the oldest shed either. They're definitely around and moving at the moment. Last time that I was out here about a week and a half ago, we found a super fresh adult taipan shed on the edge of the road near a series of cracks. And then while looking at that one, we found a bunch of older sheds as well. So it looks like just an active series of soil cracks that the snakes use like frequently. So we're heading there now, and we're just gonna lap that to focus on for now. Like, given how warm it is already and how warm it's gonna get today, we've only got a really, really small window to try and find a taipan. So we've got to allocate our time wisely.
Yes!
Oh my god! Straight away, inland taipan!
Holy shit, it's huge!
Oh my god! Alright, so I just checked in to say that we have a short window of time and we're going down to where those taipan sheds are. We haven't even made it to where the taipan sheds are, and here is our target species, the inland taipan. The sun hasn't even risen and this beautiful snake was just crossing the road already. Oh my god, I am so glad that we got up when we did. And this snake is not happy. This is one of the most defensive inlands I've ever seen, but holy hell is it beautiful. It's like this beautiful light brown color, and the Cooperpedy inland taipans have this subtle banding. So like some patches of the scales don't have any pattern, and then some have the black flecks between it. And this one's a perfect example of that. But oh my god, I did not think we were gonna get a taipan this quickly or this easily. But far out, we're 2 taipans deep and we haven't even had a full 24 hours in the area. And you can see it's doing that weird like loopy defense thing. Oh my god, that is so awesome. This is the snake that we came all this way to look for. And Getting up early this morning has paid off. The Inland Taipan, one of the most famous snakes in the world. They're widely known for having the most toxic venom of any land snake. They have never ever accounted to a human death, which is absolutely crazy to think about, because if you look at something like an eastern brown snake, which I've said before in my previous videos, it's got a lot of deaths to their name. The reason these snakes have not got a death to their name is because look where we are. We are out in the middle of nowhere. There's no people around here. Encounters with this snake are so rare. So bites are a lot less likely to occur. The only time you're really gonna get bitten is if you're keeping them or if you're catching them. That's why the most toxic snake on earth has got no deaths to their name. This is such an insane snake, and everyone sort of jumps to that world's most venomous snake sort of theme with these animals. But to me, the craziest thing about the Inland Taipan is that they live in like the most desolate part of Australia. We're literally out on the moon plains. There's not a tree in sight. There's no cover on the surface for these snakes. They live exclusively underground in the soil cracks, the deep soil cracks. What happens is this soil gets wet, and the heat, the intense heat from this area just dries it and cracks it and forms these deep cracks in the soil. As well as that, you get the rat burrows, you get the lizard burrows and stuff. But beneath the surface, there is just a whole labyrinth of cracks, caves, tunnels. All the snakes, all the animals out here use these. Like you get the rodents, all the lizards out here use burrows. These snakes, you get strapsnated brown snakes and mulgars as well. They're all using these soil cracks. Taipans can stay beneath the surface for months at a time. They don't need to come to the surface often. And that's one, I just find the ecology of Inland Taipan so interesting. Being such an understudied snake in the wild, like they just are so many unanswered questions. They're very secretive, one of the most secretive snakes in the country. Given the amount of rain we've had over the last few years, they've been in very good numbers. I've seen 8 so far since all the rain started, which is pretty good. It's one more than Dylan's seen, which is the main thing that I care about. But they can go for such a long time without eating. They can go for months and months. And the reason they have that toxic venom is because they could go months out here without seeing a meal. So when they see a rat, they need to make sure that it doesn't get away, because that food is really valuable to their survival. So they need to have that toxic venom to quickly kill that rat so that it doesn't get away and a meal isn't wasted. And when they bite rodents, they kill them almost straight away, like 5 to 10 seconds, and they'll be dead, which is absolutely insane to think about. I think it was like 1 drop of their venom can kill 250,000 mice, which is also ridiculous. I don't know, maybe a lot of people think that the toxic venom of them is really scary and intimidating, and maybe it is if you're bitten, but when you leave the snakes alone, like you aren't gonna run into one unless you're looking for them, I reckon. But regardless, as long as they're left alone, even though it's got a really toxic venom, this snake is completely harmless. He's sort of chilling out a bit with our presence now. He was quite fired up at the beginning, but he's sort of getting a bit more comfortable with us. But this snake is probably transitioning into its summer color. So something that Inland Taipans do is, based on the season, their colors can change. After a few sheds coming into the cooler months, they darken right up and go almost a brown, like a dark brown, blackish color. And then coming into summer, they shed a few more times again, and it turns into a light yellowish, light brown almost sort of color. And so that helps them with absorbing warmth. So out here in winter, it is absolutely freezing. So they need to be that darker color so that they can absorb the maximum heat possible for the little time that they spend on the surface. And over summer, they don't want to overheat. So that lighter color helps them to thermoregulate better. They don't absorb as much heat. They don't get as hot. It's one of the coolest things about Inland Taipans. Yeah, this is such a good snake. I'm so stoked. This is Amber's first Inland Taipan up close, because we lost that one yesterday. But yeah, we're going to quickly just get some photos for Amber. We're going to send him on his way. Alright, so after this morning's Taipan, the weather took a turn for the worst. It is soaking wet out here. We had a massive downpour. The temperatures have dropped massively. And while Taipans still could be out in this weather, we're happy with that beautiful big adult that we saw this morning. So we aren't gonna hang out here for too much longer. We'll still quickly go poke around for geckos tonight. Hopefully tomorrow morning the weather will be alright, but yeah, if it's not, then that might be it for our Taipan hunt. Look at how wet it is out here. All that soil, all the cracks have filled in. A lot of the cracks have just filled in with water, and that is all so soft. I got slightly bogged just pulling off the road a little bit. So yeah, you can only imagine how bad it'd be walking out there. If we saw a snake out on the plains, it'd probably get stuck in the mud. So pretty much all video I was referring to this first taipan that got away. Basically, we saw half of its body going down a hole in the concrete in this well. It was trapped and it got away. We didn't see that snake again, but 2 weeks later, I was out there and I checked that well again and the snake had come back out, and it turns out it wasn't a taipan. It was this strap-snouted brown snake. And because we only got a brief glimpse, that's what I thought it was. But regardless, we managed to rescue this beautiful snake. It was trapped in the well for who knows how long. It was emaciated and it was severely dehydrated. So we gave it a drink of water and we made sure it went down a soil crack. It would have been certain death if we didn't manage to get to this thing. So it was a positive outcome, and yeah, turns out we only saw one taipan.
Oh, this is such an... You can't come to the territory without...
Black-headed python.